Hi, my name is Mahendra Kane. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Mahendra Speaks. Today, I am going to talk about a very interesting topic which is quite close to my heart, and that's called mindfulness. Okay. So, just before we begin with the topic, a quick introduction from my side. I'm Mahendra Kane, and I have been running this channel from last 3-4 months and trying to talk on topics which are really close to my heart. So this topic also, as I said earlier, is quite close to my heart, and I would like to throw some light on this. So we will not do much jargon. We will not do too many scientific terms and all, but we will try to see what practically what we can do to understand this subject. Okay. So a token of gratitude before I start. I really got a lot of insights from people around me, and customers, and my parents and friends, everyone. So and obviously internet, Google. So this presentation is more of a mixture of a lot of things, and I'm really grateful for all of them for sharing this knowledge with me. I sincerely thank everyone, and what I feel is we should always pay it forward. So if someone is really in need, we should help them without any problems, and it will really help that person also, and then it will also help us to grow as an individual. So I always believe in paid forward. So let's talk about this subject of mindfulness. Mindfulness starts from us. Obviously, we are talking about ourselves only. So we see around a lot of lack of mindfulness things or absent-minded things in our day-to-day lives. So some examples from my side. Like, so if how many times we forget that we have kept the milk on boil, and when it goes off, then we really realize that something is wrong. Similarly, the mother says or the wife says to us that you look after how many whistles are there, but we are so engrossed in our own world that we simply forget, and it really difficult for us to remember how many whistles were there. Similarly, when we are in hurry or we are in some different world altogether, thinking of a lot of things, and we sometimes forget to lock our car or lock our home. So this is typical examples of mindlessness, or I can say an absent-mindedness. So this is on a lighter side, but when it goes to a different level altogether, we start seeing a lot of things in our lives. So uh, some of you might have seen these symptoms many times in your life. So like you often feel getting angry. A lot of stress comes to you, a lot of anxiety comes to you. After some time, if the stress is too much, then you also start feeling about body pains or aches, or in some aggravated cases, you start getting some heart troubles, higher BP, etc. Sometimes you feel that you are not in seat of the control. You are not the one who is calling shots, so you feel helpless in that case. Sometimes you get really demotivated, right? Sometimes you tend to cling to your past. You don't come out of it very easily, even though you're doing something else in the present, but you keep feeling that the past, the something happened in the past. Sometimes just to achieve a lot of things in your life, you keep on doing a lot of multitasking, right? And then the most important thing is not being in present mode. So here in this topic, we are going to basically talk about how we can be in our present, and how being in present can really help us in succeeding in life. So mindfulness is all about living in present life, a present moment. So let's start with the basics. So two things are very important, or other the driving force of misery in life. One is stress, and other is anger. So why does it start? So there are only two aspects why these things starts. First is when things don't happen the way you planned, you start getting stressed or you start getting angry, right? And the second is when the undesired things happen along the way which you never anticipated. So these two things are basically the starting points of any stress, any angers, any misery in your life. And if we really analyze those, if we really pinpoint those, then getting out of that becomes quite easy. So always remember two things. One is it is not the stress that is killing us, but it is our reaction to it, right? So if we are, if we are taking that stress positively, some stress is always important in life, right? So just take an example of a bow and arrow. If the bow doesn't have proper stress, the arrow will not get fired. So we need some small stress in our small tension in our life to lead it positively. But that tension should not kill us. That is what I want to try to say, right? So that tension should not become misery of our life. And the other thing is, it is not the load that breaks you down, but it is the way you carry it, right? So if you are planning few things and then if they are not going the way you plan, obviously stress is going to happen. But if we are clear how we want to come out of it, how we want to attack it, how we want to resolve it, then definitely the success is going to be ours in long term. So stress and depression, not surprisingly, are the most critical issues in today's world. You can see a lot of programs on internet, a lot of programs at the doctor's ends to come out of depression. So depression, stress are really killing, it is a big problem in today's world, especially with lot of high pressure jobs and other things, lot of problems in the relationships and other things. They are really creating a lot of troubles, and it affects at all levels, not only emotional level but also affects physical level. And then we really start getting notice about that. So stress, depression, anxiety, right, they're all brothers and sisters. They all are interlinked with each other, right? So it has to be from within. We should understand when the stress is really going out of our control and what we can do to stop it. As I said, it not only affects the emotional level, but also it affects the physical level. So you might have seen that, the typical saying goes that he is a pain in neck, right? So if let's say you're seeing someone, let's say maybe your boss, for example, if you're looking at him and then if you don't like for some reason, then obviously, sometimes you can feel that your neck starts paining, or, something or other goes off in your body. So if that stress comes into your thoughts, then automatically it starts impacting the body. So both body and mind are closely interlinked with each other, and that sometimes really create a lot of trouble. So a stress can hit you at any place, right from the mind. You can start getting headaches, anxiety, anger. You can have a neck pain, right? You can have a leg pain. Anything happens, right? So it is it is up to us how we analyze these pains and how we can relate those pains to a specific stress that can really help us come out of it. So how do we come out of the stress? So first of all, realizing there is a stress, that is really important, and then taking some positive concrete steps against that is the key to come out of stress. So the greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over the other, right? So if one thought is creating a lot of stress, we analyze that and then we realize how, or we determine how to come out of it. That will really help change the tides in our friends. Second problem which comes after this anger and anxiety or depression is lack of control. Right? So everyone wants to be in control of some situation or other. Now, I have never seen a person who doesn't want to be in any control at all. Secretly, at least they want to be. Even let's say, even if I'm not running a company, but whatever, if I'm running a department or running a small or talking to a customer, then I always want to be a situation where I am in control. So sooner or later, these things happen, and then, but again, we have to see how frequently we want to be in control and what happens when there is no control. So this is where the problems start arising. That let's say you are in control, right, positively or negatively, but after some time, if you are losing the control, how you are behaving or how you are analyzing that situation, that really is important. So any lack of control definitely gives rise to anger, right? If something is not going my way, and if I start feeling anxious, if I start feeling angry, then obviously the situation will completely go out of hands, right? So if we avoid being control freaks, if we decide that it is okay, that we don't want to really control the situation, it is okay to let go for some times, then it can really start reversing the situation. Okay, so we have to understand if lack of control in a situation is really hurting us in terms of anger or depression or something like that, right? That is very important. So when I search about being angry, you get a lot of good quotes on that. So this one is really hitting the nail on the head. So speak when you're angry and you will make the best speech which you will ever regret, right? So if we are angry and if we do something which we were not really supposed to do, it can really create long-term problems right, in our life. So for every minute, if you are angry, then you are losing the precious 60 minutes of 60 seconds of happiness. So see, we are all doing all these things. We are living life. We are, we are doing a job. We are marrying. We are having a family, etc. This is ultimately what we want to achieve: happiness in our life. But the moment we are angry, or the moments we are angry, it starts really coming on to us, and then we start losing the peace in life or the happiness in life. So when we are angry, we have to really see why, what it is making, what it is really making us angry, right? If someone else can easily anger you, let's say if you are looking at person A and he is always making you angry, then the problem is not with that person really. Yeah, obviously there is some problem with that person with respect to you, but ultimately you chose to be angry. So the problem is really with you. So you have to take a corrective action to come out of that situation. So many times we feel that if I am angry, then things are going to be streamlined after some time. But it is really like you are drinking a poison and then expecting the other person to. So the anger really affects yourself more than the other person. So how to come out of it? So if during meditations and a lot of other things which I do daily, I have really found out that if you are angry or if you are anxious, if you are stressed about something, if you just look at that as a third person, just you keep yourself aside and you just simply pay attention to the thought actually or the feeling, then that feeling slowly starts disappearing. If you're angry about something, you just focus yourself on why you are angry, and then after sometimes you realize that it is not worth my time to be angry on this. So these small things can really help change us positively, and can really help us coming out of the anger, right? So being angry is quite normal. Everyone becomes angry once in a while, but what is really important is what it really taught you when someone hurt you, then just being angry about it, right? So if we really learn to let go, if we really learn to forgive, then it is really beneficial for all of us. Next is the demotivation part, or if sometimes if we start feeling demotivated. So what is the really reason about that? So that the motivation or demotivation, again, like everything, starts with us only. So when someone tells you it can't be done, then they are actually demotivating you. But we have to really understand that it is their perception that this XYZ thing can't be done, right? It is not your perception. They are just trying to put that impression of, or rather their impression on yourself, right? So before getting demotivated or before getting motivated, we have to first analyze why this specific thing is going to motivate me or demotivate. So unless we are doing that, it is always impossible, right? Just imagine if the creators were not motivated enough, we would never have had any great inventions, like maybe aeroplane, for example. There is a very famous saying that if God wanted man to fly, he would have given him the wings, right? So if we had always been demotivated about not inventing the aeroplane, we were still not without an aeroplane. So it is as simple as that, correct? So we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. So the motivation really helps us to come out of the present situation and then uh, try something, doing something out of the box. So how do you do the self motivation stuff, right? So some small things which I found is start asking questions, right? Start practicing gratitude. You take a break, frequent breaks from your schedule, and then focus on few things. Stop distracting yourself. Use music which you really like, maybe a soft music or whatever you like. Try to listen to that music. It will really help you come out of your present situation and then motivate you for doing something else, right? Choose your friends wisely. If your friends are always talking negative rubbish, then obviously you will always feel demotivated. If you choose your friends positively, or if you choose positive friends, that will really help your make your life better. And then try to read something which really motivates you, right? So anything which is making you positive will definitely improve your motivation level. Another thing which motivates you indirectly is a circle of concern versus circle of influence. Okay, it's very powerful thought given by Stephen Covey in his book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which talks about a circle of concern. What is a circle of concern basically? So everything which is not in our control. For example, let's take COVID-19, right? So the big guys are fighting who really started COVID-19, but that really doesn't change our life on day-to-day basis, right? We know that COVID-19 is there. We have to accept it, nothing else. But what will happen if I start getting COVID, right? That is where the problem starts. That is where the anxiety starts. If you are taking enough care at your and you are taking proper medications, if you're doing proper exercise, diet, then obviously nothing will happen. Another thing is like cricket matches, IPL results. We are so anxious whether India will win or Pakistan will win. And ultimately, they are playing the games, and we should not lose our peace over the result of that. Right? So this is something which is not in your control. Others' opinion about myself, right? I can't change what others think of me. I can definitely change how I can, change my behavior. This is in my hand, right? Recession, another thing. It is really not in my control directly. Maybe indirectly because of an earning person, because of a service person or a business person, I'm influencing the economy. But prima facie, the total recession in the world is really not in my control, right? Weather, again, is something is not my control. So what is in your control, which is called a circle of influence? The things which are not in my control are part of circle of concern. The things which are really in my control are called part of circle of influence. So I can't change what other think about me, but I can definitely work on my behavior so that I can become a better person in life. I can take care of my own investments, maybe in terms of financial, physical, mental. Like for example, mindfulness. If I'm practicing mindfulness, it is a part of my mental investment or a spiritual investment, right? I can always focus on work-life balance. I can always think about or find out more ways about productivity at work. I can always be a great listener. I can always be a great learner. I keep on, I can decide to think of learning new things every day, right? So whatever we are doing, if we are focusing on those things, then we are expanding our circle of influence. And that only happens when we are self-motivated, right? So if we are not self-motivated, we will always be in the circle of concern, where we will always be reacting on the events which are not in our hands. But consciously, by mindfully, if you are in control of your circle of influence, that will really help you make a lot of changes in your life and positive changes in your life. Right? What helps in motivation is the SMART goals. So you can also look at my other video on SMART or goal setting as such. So SMART is nothing but specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. So each has it's very simple, nothing rocket science in that. If you are specific in your goals, if you are able to measure your goals, if your goals are not too much but just enough or just enough out of your reach, that is achievable, just achievable goals, right? Then if they are relevant goals to your present conditions, and obviously they are time bound goals, then that goal is really a life changing goal from your perspective. Now, when we talk about setting goals or achieving it, we should not do it just for the sake of it. I personally believe in compartmentalizing different goals in different areas of my life. For example, career, financial, family, spiritual, social, health, etc. So, like starting this YouTube channel and giving whatever knowledge I have about a lot of different topics was part of my one of the social goals, or you can say spiritual goals, right? So again, amassing enough wealth which will help me plan my life better, and I can be a financially independent person. That is a kind of a financial goal, right? Or giving time for my family, spending more time with my children can be my family related goal. Or taking time out of my schedule and doing meditations or being more mindful can be my spiritual goal. So different goals exist, and then we have to decide based on our way of life, our lifestyle, and our what we want from our life. We can definitely think of setting different goals. uh, the next topic is about multitasking. So many times many people are proud of themselves that they are great multitaskers. but they are not they are not really doing a multitasking. Sorry, but they are just doing a inefficient task switching, right? We are not microprocessors or microcontrollers or a supercomputers where we can do a lot of things at the same time, right? If we start, just imagine you are driving a car and then also doing texting, it will kill you instantly, right? If someone, if you just are not keeping attention in driving the car and you are just texting, you can see a lot of videos on net how people have suffered badly in their lives, right? So if we are not focusing one task at a time, it will really create a lot of problems for us, in terms of so many things, right? So a very nice photo I found on net. So if you're late for your work, you don't do multitasking, and at the same time you're washing your suit and making your toast, right? So there is a specific task, and then you have to allot some specific time to that task. And if you don't do that properly, mindfully, then that task will not happen properly. So what is a multitasking basically? What we are losing because of multitasking? So one is we are doing more mistakes. If we are talking about 3, 4, 5 tasks at the same time, then there is a more chance of making mistakes in every task. It will also slow you down. You will frequently not remember what you did for task A and then what you are doing in task B if you are directly switching to task B. Your focus is reduced because you are working on so many things at the same time. It will also elevate stress because neither of the tasks is getting completed. So your boss is on top of you and then he wants you to complete A to Z tasks. But if you are just shuffling between different tasks, then nothing is getting completed. So that is ultimately elevating your stress. Then once the stress starts increasing, obviously your fatigue starts increasing, right? So what happens is basically your battery is down. So instead of that, if you focus on a single task at a time, and then if you're completing it that to 100%, and then only you're going to the next task, then it really makes sense. Obviously, it is easier said than done, but then if we are mindful, it will really help us to focus on single task at a time, and thereby reduce our fatigues. So just a quick recap of what I discussed so far. So we started with why we are getting angry or we are getting stressed, why there is a depression happening, right? How this depression or anxiety, stress, and anger are connected physically and mentally with our body. Why do we feel that we are not in control, right? Why we are getting demotivated easily? Why we are still many times are clinging to our pasts, right? Why do we want to make so many tasks run at the same time, and ultimately why we are not being in present moment because of all these things, right? So when we talk about mindfulness, we are essentially talking about being in the present moment. So if we realize that I am angry at present moment, because of mindfulness we can take some corrective actions on that, and then we can make a much better life. So how this mindfulness practice can really help? So what mindfulness is really doing is, it is not a science as such, right? You can see a lot of buzzwords like this in today's world, but then ultimately it boils on us. If we are mindful, that means if we are in control of the present moment, not exactly control, but if we are aware of the present moment, then we are mindful. It is as simple as that, right? So there are no jargons about it. So if we are following mindfulness practice, what it really leads is basically reduce anxiety. Once we are less anxious, if we are less angry, then obviously our body will also be in better shape. We will have much less chronic problems. Our body is quite calm. The stress is quite reduced. So if we start keeping attention to ourselves, if we start becoming aware in our lives, then a lot of good things can happen. And mindfulness is nothing but a thing which really talks about this. Okay? So, as I said earlier, mindfulness is all about being aware about ourselves or aware about the present moment, step by step, second by second, right, minute by minute. So, if we start being aware about ourselves, a lot of things can happen. See, what happens many times is, let's say your wife is talking to you, and your attention is half in the TV and half in something happened in the office, right? So what will happen is you are neither focusing on the TV, neither you are focusing on what your wife is saying, and neither you are really completely thinking about what really happened at office and how I can take corrective actions, right? So if we are aware about some things, if I shut down the office part, if I shut down the TV part, and if I am consciously listening to what my wife is saying, then that conversation is much more meaningful than the half-hearted conversation, right? So what is really the opposite of being aware is ignoring, misunderstanding, absent-mindedness, right? Overlooking something. If I'm not looking at the milk which is boiling, and if I'm deep in my own thoughts, then I'm completely absent-minded about the present motion, right, or present moment. So being aware about ourselves consciously, second by second, minute by minute, is really worth giving attention to. This brings to the next part: how can we be attentive in our day-to-day lives? So meditation, I feel, is one of the greatest tools available today to everyone, which can really change the things the way we are doing, right? So what we are really doing in meditation, we are sitting comfortably, we are calm and quiet, and then we are focusing on ourselves, right? We are focusing on our body, we are focusing on our thoughts. So the goal of meditation is not really controlling your thoughts or stop this thought, stop that thought, or only think positive. It is not meditation. According to me, it is just looking or observing what thoughts are coming our way. That's it, nothing else. And it is easier said than done. Okay. So if you want to try any form of meditation, there are so many things on meditation available in today's world, right? So I am practicing Vipassana meditation from last 6-7 years, and it has really changed my life. So there are other various ways of doing meditation. So it is up to you how to do it. But I suggest if you want to take this path, then you better get trained at some person's, at some institution or some person who is already expert in this, right? So as I said, our target is not to just sit quiet and then get angry at something or just think what happened today. It is just focusing on what thoughts are coming. It is as simple as that, right? And believe me, it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of time to really understand what kind of thoughts we are thinking every day. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of struggle also, obviously, to do meditation. Start small, maybe 20-30 minutes a day, and gradually increase. But if you are really understanding if how the meditation works for you, you will feel great things in your life. It is simply amazing. You can really feel that you are so calm and quiet. You are so you are having so much peace of mind. You are so happy internally, right? So that really you really don't have to look outside to get the happiness. So I feel that meditation helps you really cleanse yourself from inside, and it will it helps you grow as a great person in long term. So what is really happening in meditation? When you start doing meditation, your body is in present, right? That we can't, there is no invention so far of time machine that you can't go in future or in back. But your mind, it always traveling between the past, present, and future, right? So suddenly you will remember that something happened 20 years ago, something happened 5 days back. If X person meets me tomorrow, I will talk to him like this, right? So your mind always plays games. Your mind is always accustomed to work either in past or in future. But using meditation techniques, using mindfulness techniques, what we are doing is basically we are slowing down the mind, and we are trying to focus it or train it to uh, uh, give more attention to the present. For example, if you are angry, right? Let's say you are having a fight with your wife, and you are very angry, and you are simply not thinking anything else. So what happens here is you start remembering something happened during the last fight. She said to me like this. I said to her like this, and that it is a chain reaction, and then you become even more angry. That fuel is gone into that. But if you are a meditation practitioner, if you are a mindfulness guy, then if you are angry, you suddenly realize that you are angry, and then just by looking at that thought or just by focusing on that anger or the feeling of anger, you start slowing down, right? So I feel I have at least really benefited from meditation a lot. because I am now aware of what kind of thoughts are happening. If I am distressed, if I am really stressed, if I am really happy, if I am really sad, I know that I am sad, right? And that realization really helps change that specific moment. So I feel meditation is a really great tool for every one of us, and we should try taking most of the advantage of that. So always remember that unless we are creating something in mind, in our mind first, it is really not happening outside, right? Take an example of this presentation. If I really had not thought of these different slides in my mind, it wouldn't have come out of like this, right? So everything which you are thinking is always getting physically created in your life. So meditation really helps you focus on your present, and that will really help you create positive things only in your life, right? So that's all about meditation. So you're welcome to try new things about meditation. There are so many ways of doing meditation. So you choose what you like, and then but practicing is the key in meditation. Now, competition is always there in life. In when we were children, we were competing with someone else. The most the cleverest student in our class, right? He was always a competition. If we are in some business, the uh, the product which I am making, a similar product someone else is making, he is my competition, right? So competition is part of our life, and we really can't change that. But what we can change by becoming more mindful is ultimately the competition with always with ourselves and not with someone else. Okay. So if you are becoming a better version of yourself every day, that will really help you, make a much better person what as compared to what you were yesterday. Right. So always realize that you are your real competition, and this will only, your life will only become positive if you start uh, taking care of yourself first. So how you can do that? First is practicing gratitude. So gratitude, like meditation, is another tool of being mindful, right? So if when we are dil se, when we are giving some uh, positive vibes to someone else, right? So that time we are really thinking in present, and then we are thankful to someone else for their services, right? So practicing gratitude is really really important, and it really gives a lot of positive vibrations, it releases a lot of positive chemicals in your body, and you start feeling great. So take out some time in daily life and practice gratitude. So practicing gratitude is not like chanting any mantras or anything, right? It is simply, if you just remember, you just close your eyes and remember what person X really did for me other day, and I'm really thankful for that. Nothing else. A way I do it whenever I get up in morning, I just pray to God that I'm really thankful for everything you've given. Right? So that's a way of practicing gratitude. So you are just happy that your life is better because of someone else, and you are giving thanks to that person. That is gratitude, nothing else. So keep learning new things every day. That will really help you, right? So if you are not learning anything new, it will not make you a much better person, right? So we are talking about, in this work from home days, we're talking about upskilling, right? So if you are not learning something new, you will always be, you'll never grow from a present job, or maybe a present position, or maybe a present person, let's say as a parent. If you're not learning something new, you will always be like this. Okay. Learn to figure out where to stop, right? So mindfulness always gives us that tool, or that leverage, that we know that this is too much. Now I have to stop. There is no point in getting angry, right? So I have to stop here. So if we learn when to stop, where to stop in our life, then our life can become wonderful. Be a great listener. Instead of speaking, if many people start listening, the world will be more quieter place and much more positive place. This is what I feel. Learn to let go, especially grudge. So if I see that person and I'm really really angry, I'm getting a lot of grudge, or I really feel distressed or stressed when I see that person. If that grudge is with you, it will always harm you only. I'm not sure about the other person, but at least it will harm yourself as a person. So start letting go. It is again, as I said, it is really difficult are really easier said than done, but it is possible. Okay. Try to be more genuine. If we start faking things, right, then after some time we start losing ourselves in our own eyes. So if we are genuine, if I am behaving with certain person, in front of that person, and if I'm doing something different in at the back of the person, then I'm not genuine, right? Again, like giving the respect, if I'm giving a fake respect to everyone, it sooner or later people will understand that I am not genuine, right? So if you are genuine, if you feel that this person is really helping you, if you're really giving a lot of gratitude to him, you will again start becoming more and more genuine, right? And try to become a more balanced person. If I'm too angry or if I'm too happy, these two are the extreme stages. If I'm balanced, right, hard way I have realized in life that neither the sorrow nor the happiness last long, right? Nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. So if I'm only crying when I'm sad and I'm only dancing when I'm happy, then that doesn't make me a balanced person. If I'm balanced, I realize that I'm happy, and at the same time, if in terms of sorrow, if I'm realizing that I'm not happy, then if I'm mindful, then I'm a more balanced person, right? So I realize that the sorrow, the sadness will not last for a long time. At the same time, if I'm happy, the happiness is also not going to last for a long time, right? So mindfulness practice really helps you realize these things in life, and then you can really become a better version of yourself. So gratitude I talked about earlier is it's really a powerful tool, like meditation, right? So practice gratitude. Just give your sincere thanks to everyone, anyone who is helping you, anyone who is not helping you. Like the indirect helpers, like for example government. We always criticize our government, but we hardly realize that they are the backbone of our society, right? So if I am giving a sincere gratitude for from right from the PM to the the municipality worker, so who is also part of the government, and they are really doing good things directly, indirectly, right? So if I am thinking about those good things and I am giving the my heartfelt gratitude or heartfelt thanks, that will really help me become a better person, become a more positive person, right? So gratitude is like a muscle. If we practice, if we lift the weights every day, our muscles will get stronger. Similarly, gratitude is there. So if we are practicing gratitude day in day out, that will really help us a lot in becoming a more better person. Mindfulness also focuses on your perceptions, right? So many times, some small people think that they are very big, and some very big people think they are very small, right? So mindfulness really helps you realize who you really are. Okay, so you are not really big or not really strong or not really small, but who you are, what are your positive things, what are your negative things, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, right? So mindfulness really helps you make your perception proper. This really helps in going long. Don't bother too much with what others are saying, right? So kuch to log kahenge, you might have seen. So people are there, different type of people are there, we are also part of that. So every situation people will react differently, and if we start listening to each and everyone, if we start pleasing to each and everyone, then we as a person will not be beneficial at all, right? Or not be happy at the end of the day. So it's very good example I found that two people were walking or using a camel, not sorry, a camel, a donkey, and then two people said, this donkey is so poor, bichara, बहुत problem hai. These two people are on that, and then it is really struggling to carry those two people. Right? So after hearing that, the old man uh, decided only to ride the donkey, and the wife started walking. Then the same people started saying, how cruel is that person? He's not allowing his wife to climb on the donkey. Hearing that, the man climbed down, and asked his wife to climb. So then the people started saying how stupid he is by letting his wife only take the ride, and he's not taking. Then what he did, he simply, both of them climbed down, and only the donkey started walking. And the people said that, no, he's such a fool. He doesn't know how to utilize it all, right? So in every situation, people will be there who will talk negative. Some people will be there who will talk positive. So I feel that, if I have things in my hand, and if I am deciding few things, then I should really ignore people what they are saying. Right? Taking advice is one thing, but if someone is simply uh, criticizing you for nothing, then it is better to ignore it. Right? So it is really not important every time to listen to each and everyone and then take call based on that. So I feel that if we are mindful of the situation, it will really help us analyze what is going wrong or what is going right, and then take a decision accordingly. Right? So listening is important, but too much listening can also create a lot of troubles. Letting go of past is difficult, but not impossible. We talked about this earlier also. So, like for example, grudge. If something really bad happened with me last time, and then every time if I see that person, मेरा खून खौल उठता है, right? So I'm really boiling down. So that is really creating problems for yourself. It is increasing the anxiety, increasing the depression in yourself, right? It is increasing the blood pressure, and that will really create a lot of troubles going forward and in long term. So try to let go of your past. Try to, everyone makes mistakes, everyone fights every now and then, but then it is up to us how fast we let it go, right? Mindfulness also helps you live a more happy and calm life and positive life. So some people tend to focus on what is missing in their lives, and some people tend to focus on what is available in their life, right? So mindfulness practice, I have often found out that experience that it really helps you focus on what you have in life, correct? So let's say my target is to let's say earn 20 crore rupees by retirement, just for example. And if I'm every day unhappy that that goal is not happening, right? But in the course of time, if I amass, let's say, 1 crore rupees as part of my savings and investments and salary and etc., then if I'm not giving attention to that and I'm simply unhappy that I'm not able to complete my target in time, so that is really the problem, where the problem starts, right? So definitely goal is important. A smart goal is important, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time bound. But at the same time, being in present and enjoying your present is also very important, right? So practice of mindfulness really helps you in that sense. Another thing which where the mindfulness can help you is finding your passion, right? So passion is your energy. It is really what you want to do in life. So many times what happens is we are not sure what is the purpose in our lives, right? So this is quite normal. But then if you figure out what is your passion, right? So 6 months back, if someone would have told me that you will make such kind of presentations and uh, have your own YouTube channel, so I would have laughed, right? But then accidentally I realized my passion one day to create something like this, and then empower the others, giving my thoughts to others, paying it forward, and that really helped change me completely, right? So my passion nowadays is helping others to grow, or helping the underprivileged people to grow, right? So if you find your passion, automatically your purpose becomes clear, right? So identifying and following your passion really helps you a lot in this journey. So we talked about a lot of things today, and just at a glance, what I can see is, first and foremost is being aware, being in present moment. That is really really important, right? So if you start practicing mindfulness by using these techniques which I talked about, like meditation, gratitude, right, finding your passion, setting proper goals, being more motivated, automatically you will start seeing that your life has improved a lot. Okay, if you start going with the flow, if you start focusing on single task, right? If you start becoming more motivated, if you really talk about this metacognition, that is thinking about the process, right? The planning, goal setting of a specific task, right? If you identify some passion and then you're working towards that passion by setting a lot of smart goals, so that is really nothing but a metacognition, right? If your mindset in life is growth oriented, learning oriented, that will really help you a lot in long terms. If you take scheduled breaks, right? If you just give enough uh, if you take enough care of your body, right, then it will really help you a lot in going forward. So internet, mobile play stores, right, Android, this iPhone, they have a lot of stuff on mindfulness. And I'm really happy that people have really understood, the corporates have really understood the importance of mental well-being and mindfulness. So you can see a lot of stuff on that. So I found two, three things which I just want to cover here. So mindfulness, as I said earlier, it is about being in present, okay, in simple terms. So when if you are breathing, you just take a feel that yes, I am breathing now, right? For example, I am talking in front of this camera now. I'm recording a video now. I'm in present now, right? If I'm not in present, I will make a lot of mistakes, right? If you're drinking something, you just try to visualize, or not, sorry, not visualize, you try to get the taste of that drink, right? If you're drinking a tea or if you're drinking an orange juice, it will, if you start paying attention to that juice, then it will really help you being more mindful in the present moment, doing one thing at a time, as I said earlier. Noticing your senses, many times, our body is full of a lot of sensations, right? So if we are just keeping attention, giving attention to specific sensations, it will really help us being more mindful, more alert in the present moment, right? Mindful eating is also one of the very important things. If we are eating while we are watching TV or a web series, or while reading a book, then we are not really giving our 100% in eating. Instead of that, even if you're eating something small, let's say if I'm just eating an apple, or I'm just drinking an apple juice or an orange juice or a tea, if I focus my 100% into that, then you will realize that you will really start enjoying that experience of eating, right? So mindful eating is also another thing. Mindful walking, if you are in if you're gone to some hill station, or if you're going to a top of the hill, by walking morning walks, or maybe you're riding a bicycle in the morning, then everything is calm and quiet, and then you are completely focused on what you're really doing. So ultimately, mindfulness is nothing but just focusing attention on your body on and your mind, right? Or focusing attention on your body with your mind, right? Another thing is like uh, more on the spiritual level, like forgiving others mistakes. So we are very critical about our children making mistakes, right? So obviously we are doing this purely from the parental perspective, or we don't want them there any harm to happen to them, but ultimately it is their life, right? So they have to learn from their mistakes. So if we just learn to let go, right? If let's say my child is not able to eat properly, maybe a 6-year-old child is not able to eat properly, and if I'm losing my mind over that, if I'm becoming angry that still you are not able to eat, it's okay, right? It's a child, it will take some time, right? So if we are mindful, if we learn to let go, automatically, obviously with the in the course of time, the child also learns to eat properly, and then we realize that I was really angry earlier for nothing, right? It is really not worth it. So forgiving others mistakes, forgiving our own mistakes also, right? So many times you yourself makes a lot of mistakes, but then if we are angry every time on that, if you are not really mindful, that is not really the purpose which is served. Showing gratitude, as I said earlier, making peace with the imperfections. We are not perfect human beings. We keep on learning from our mistakes. So if every time I'm creating ruckus over my mistakes, then it is not good, right? In my perspective, right? Another way of looking at mindfulness is this art of being present. So art is activities. You involve yourself in different activities and completely focus, give your 100% into that. Whatever routines you are doing, just give your 100% in those routines. As simple as that, if you're folding the clothes, right? If you're doing it properly, just uh, against just for the sake of folding the clothes, then if you're mindful, if you're giving your 100%, you will really start enjoying that, right? Just to give an example, during lockdown, I had to wash the pots and, right, the bartan. But then at start I was not happy. But I realized that the maid is not going to come for next 4 or 5 months. I had no option. I simply accepted that and then started really enjoying this routine, right? So if we are mindful, we really start enjoying each and everything, and that really changes the game completely. Okay. So in the end, really, what is important for us is how we are living. How much love we are giving to others, how much we are getting loved, and how we are really letting it go. Right. So mindfulness, if we are practicing properly, these three things we will always have priority in our lives, and that will really help us make a positive life. Right? So let us not look back in anger or nor forward in fear. But if we are just aware about the present issues, present problems, right, then we can definitely find new things to come out of it. So I have said a lot of things about mindfulness, how we can practice mindfulness, what are the things which are hindering us to start mindfulness, etc. So I feel the time to act is now. Some people will only think in their minds what is going to happen. What will happen if I start doing mindfulness? What will happen if I start doing this meditation and etc. Will it really change me? Will I become a sadhu? Something like that. Nothing happens, right? So if we are mindful by our own choice, then things are only going to be positive, nothing else, right? Some people, take the ball in their hands, and then they simply think, how can I put that ball into that court, right, or that net? And the third person is the one who really wants to make a change in their life, right? No doubt, thinking, planning is important, but unless you implement that, nothing is going to change. So time to act is now. Take that ball and you start practicing, right? Take that ball of mindfulness in your hand. Take many things which I told in this webinar, and then you can really change your life completely, positive, right? So change is possible while still there is a chance. This thing I believe, and it has really changed my life completely. So I thank you all for listening to this webinar, and I give you all the best for your success. Right? Do subscribe to my channel Mahendra Speaks, and do watch the other videos, webinars on different topics which I given already. Thank you. Thanks a lot.